G'day gang, I want to talk today about found families. I think this is a trope that is particularly fun because it combines a whole bunch of different elements of stuff that resonates pretty hard with people. I think we all have people in our lives who have been there for a very long time, and I think most people have complicated family. I think the majority of people are in that bracket. So the option of finding your own family, building your own family, particularly through crisis or shared experience, I think is a really cool narrative device. And I think it's really resonating. I think it's something that we enjoy in all types of media, but particularly in stories where characters feel already abandoned or don't find their place in the world, or characters without families who have come together to build their own. All of these things are really, really fun to put in stories, and it has the option to make characters come from different places and have a whole bunch of different natural diversity within your group. So you can have a conflict of cultures, you can have inherent complications based on the way that characters look, like saying when a character introduces their sister and they say, you guys look nothing alike, you can instantly get that conflict with strangers just established there, because that's the way that the characters see each other as siblings, and that's the way they identify. So it becomes a fun bit of tension that you can involve other characters in your setting, and also expose that your setting is tribalistic, if that is also the case, or just in general that you have a culture that they're interacting with that's more kind of mean. I think mean-spirited in that sense. Not always the case, but whatever the case may be, there's a whole list of things you can go down with that route. You can show your setting. Essentially, that's the takeaway. Oh goodness! And found families, yeah, they really, really resonates, I think, with most people. We all have people that we kind of consider to be family, even though they're not family. There's often in families, there's an aunt or an uncle that has no blood relationship, or a cousin that you just really love and you've just adopted them. And they're just part of your family now, whether they like it or not, they're involved. And I think writing that in a story, because we do that in real life, and because particularly if we don't have a family, or complicated family bonds like most of us, it's a really, really fun thing to put in a story. And I think the coolest thing about found family trope in stories in general is that it's really cool that you can have two characters of completely opposing identities brought together, and they argue and bicker with each other because of these, significant background differences. But you can also show that your setting is complicated and has multiple different sets of beliefs or moralities through your characters, through your found families, because of the way that they tell the audience about their worldview, which is very, very cool stuff that you can do for your setting. And it's a great way to have that synergy that I'm always talking about, making your world feel authentic and making all these pieces work together beautifully without having to try very hard at all. It's just a natural way to make this that way of expressing things, and going the route of having these people be orphans, or have them have lost their parents, they're looking for them, or have them left their parents, stuff like that. They can be joint suffering. They can be joint experiences that those characters can have. So you can see already, I've already said a whole bunch of things as to why this is such a strong narrative device. It's really fun to use this as a baseline, and also if you have a really complicated setting, having two people from opposing views is really, really important to paint the narrative in those two different styles, but also to show how different your setting is. Because if you have a really diverse setting and then you only have characters from one city, it can be really complicated to try and show the reader how complicated that setting is. So if the characters are constantly saying, wow, there's so much different culture around here, but you're not showing it, it gets awkward. So it is really awesome for those types of stories. But I think for me, the thing about found families is they're particularly precious. And these characters have often worked very hard to keep these relationships, and they can be cruel about the relationships that they've put energy in to find, which is really fun, by saying stuff like, you know, we're not blood, what's keeping us together? Saying phrases like that and propelling characters to, like, challenging characters to make them tell each other why they care about them, and things like that are really, really cool narrative options. And I see this used in so many examples of media, that these characters are not family, and so it's different, and having these characters outline that it's different can sometimes be a really, really powerful way for them to remind each other and the audience that it's different, because it ultimately is different. Found families aren't the same as families. They can be better, they can be worse, or they can be just as toxic. You know, you can have basically established family bonds within a grouping of people who aren't family, and have them be just as dependent and toxic without ever being blood related. And so if you wanted to maintain that sort of style of having a family in a setting, but you didn't want them to come from the same place, this is the way to do it. It's a really, really cool option, but I think it just keeps resonating with me in the artistry of how we as humans can connect, particularly among things that have pain and suffering. We just find each other and we bond. Bonding through suffering, I think, is one of the best ways that we create really solid friendships and foundations, because you can immediately go, well, if I fix you, I fix me. And those sorts of elements interplayed throughout a very complicated story can be particularly rewarding. So there are so many options. And again, it's a trope for a reason, because it's good. A lot of these, like, tropes exist because they're very, very understandable. And this, I think, is no exception. I did kind of want to talk about different examples in media, but this time I think I'm going to just do a shorter video on it, because if I get started on found families, examples of found families, I think it'll be really complicated. But I think I'm just going to go to my go-to, because I'm a bit of a broken record currently. I have so many references, but I guess having recently played The Witcher, I'm a bit Witcher brained right now. But I like the sisterhood that they have of, they're kind of just stuck together, you know. Those sorts of found families are really toxic. So I think that utilizing stuff like that is really awesome. It's just too many examples, I think, to reference them. But I really want to know your guys' comments on this one, because I think this is another one that I could do like a really deep dive, and I could also target specific movies or TV shows or books or games, and just talk about the specific elements and why they're important. But I keep wanting to do shallow dives to see what people want. People want me to talk about, because people all have different opinions, and I as a creator will have very different opinions from other people. So yeah, what do you guys think? Do you guys like the topic? Very interested if you guys have examples of found families that you want to talk about and you want me to talk about, because I'd definitely like to I'd like to get more specific. I think that would be fun. But just, leave a like if it's a topic you want, dislike if you hate it, sub to me if you want me on the platform. That one's very, very helpful and very big. And if you want to read examples of my work, I have links for my books. Don't bother with my first series. It's not very good. I was learning to write. I was a new writer, but my second series I think is really fun, and it has a lot of fun elements. But if it's not your style, don't read it. You know, not everything is for everyone. But thank you so much for listening to me babble. This is definitely, again, too big of a topic to challenge in one sitting, and too many examples. But I'll do more examples next time, I think. But yeah, tell me what you think. Thanks for listening, as always. Bye.